Hello and welcome to Ninja Jordan Reviews. I'm your host, Ninja Jordan, and today we'll be reviewing Mario Golf Super Rush. It probably won't surprise you to learn, but ninjas love golf. The technicality perfectly suits our advanced intellect and cunning, and the precision needed to play is perfectly suited to our heightened ninja reflexes. It can get a little intense sometimes, what with all the shurikens and mid-putt assassinations, but for the most part, we play a clean game. It's probably also no surprise that ninjas love Super Mario. That plucky plumber is always getting himself into crazy shenanigans, and anyone with that kind of vertical leap and superb stomping ability is alright by us. So naturally, when the gaming gods saw fit to combine Super Mario and the game of golf back in 1999, we were pretty stoked. Mario Golf games have been pretty few and far between, with only 5 entries in the franchise, the last being Mario Golf World Tour on the 3DS back in 2014. So you can imagine my excitement when Nintendo announced Mario Golf Super Rush for the Nintendo Switch. I had long been awaiting a new Mario Golf, especially after the high bar of quality World Tour had set. However, after spending countless hours hitting the links in this newest outing, I find myself feeling less enamored by what was added, and more frustrated by what they removed. For the most part, Mario Golf Super Rush is a pretty fun game. Players know exactly what to expect here. Jump in, choose a player, select a course, and start golfing. While players will have 16 characters to choose from, 17 if you count the story mode Mii character, only 2 courses are available at the start, although more can be unlocked by completing 18 holes in free play or progressing through the story. Gameplay has been changed a bit this time around though. Instead of the standard 2-button golf players might expect, press A to set your power, A again to set your accuracy, Mario Golf Super Rush has simplified the process, now only requiring a single button press at your desired power, although players can press A or B again quickly to set topspin or backspin. Hooking or slicing your shot is now somewhat left up to chance, as shooting from bad terrain will increase the power bar's wrist zone, which can increase the chances of a bad shot. Although, one unique thing they did with the power bar that I do like has to do with spinning the ball. If a character has a high enough spin stat, they can split the power bar into multiple sections, allowing the player to add different directions of spin as the ball travels, which is actually a really useful technique for navigating around certain obstacles. However, one of the things they did with the power bar that I do not like is removing the ability to set a distance marker to better judge how far to play your shot. Each course is uniquely designed and offers a decent challenge, from the rolling fields of bonny greens to the sand-swept hills of balmy dunes. Visually, the courses are incredible, bursting with color and life and beautifully rendered in HD, and there's a lot of Super Mario charm in each one, both in environmental details and even Mario enemies acting as course hazards. Furthermore, there's a connectedness to each hole that makes you feel like you're on a real golf course, unlike previous games where each hole felt like individual levels. Although, if you're not interested in standard stroke play, there's the much advertised new interpretation of fast golf. Unlike in previous Mario Golf games where fast or speed golf would have players playing regularly while shooting for their best times, Mario Golf Super Rush reinvents this mode into a much more frantic, almost party-like style, where players all shoot at the same time and then run to their balls for the next hit. Players can try and slow each other down with power moves or power shots that can knock opponents' balls around. Oh, grow up. But it's not a game based purely in chaos. Players will still need to play effectively as each stroke adds 30 seconds to your overall time, so players will still need to aim for birdies or pars while trying to get to their ball as safely as possible. In addition to the fast golf mode, there's the battle golf mode, which plays similarly, but with a twist. Instead of playing individual holes, players all play on one giant course. The first to sink 3 balls wins. Then of course, there's the Golf Adventure. Similar to that of Mario Golf on the Game Boy Color, Mario Golf Super Rush allows players to use a chosen Mii to compete in an RPG-style, well, golf adventure. Starting off as a rookie, players will compete in tournaments of varying playstyles in order to make it to the pros, leveling up their character and building them according to their playstyle. There's a lot of charm in the Golf Adventure, with many NPCs having a lot of personality and humorous dialogue. Furthermore, I would recommend starting with the Golf Adventure as it acts as the game's playable tutorial. There's a sort of digital manual book in the Golf Guide section, but for players who learn better through playing, it's a lot more helpful. And now we come to the dreaded however. Mario Golf Super Rush has made a lot of changes, and worst of all, in my opinion, is the camera. Actually, the whole UI is a bit of a mess. Simply put, the camera controls are incredibly restrictive and make the game a bit frustrating to play. In previous Mario Golf games, you were shown the full trajectory of your shot, with a terrain grid at the end to give you an idea of how it would land, and you could move the camera with pretty lenient freedom in order to scope out your shot. Mario Golf Super Rush, however, only gives you an overhead view of your shot path. Furthermore, if you try to zoom in to get a better idea of how your shot will travel, it'll only zoom into the projected endpoint of your shot. This is the same for putting. You can't pan the camera around the green, just an overhead camera that only zooms in on the hole, made worse by a UI that actively gets in the way of the overhead view. Even more baffling is how the terrain grid appears where the player is standing, which is pointless since you can clearly see the slope of the land you're standing on, and the power bar curves if you're standing on a slope. In fairness, the game tries to offset this with the rangefinder, but even this is fairly useless since, while it will show you an expanded terrain grid of the scanned area, players are unable to line up their shots while in this view. Furthermore, if there's a hill or any obstacle in the way of where you want to scan, it'll scan that point and you're basically stuck. This might not sound like a big deal, but it really is. Like I said, golf is a very technical game, with every shot needing to be set up in a precise way in order to get the best result. With such an abysmal camera and UI, compounded by the inability to properly judge distance, Mario Golf Super Rush forces players to do a lot of guesswork in setting up their shots. Furthermore, the design is actually at odds with the fast golf mode, since it wants you to play fast, but it kind of forces you to meticulously set up your shot since there's so little information being provided on how it's going to land. In fact, a lot of Mario Golf Super Rush feels flat or undercooked compared to its predecessors. Outside of the 3 game modes, there's no real variety in challenges. No ring or coin challenges, simply score attack or time attack. Even though each character has different stats, they all feel pretty much identical, and gone are each character's unique animations for birdies, pars, or bogeys, which is kind of baffling since Mario Golf World Tour kind of popularized the Waluigi Rose thing that Nintendo loves memeing now. On the technical side, Mario Golf Super Rush is a bit unpredictable, even after a pre-launch update. While players might initially be impressed when they boot up the game and it launches with some PS5 load times, and it plays pretty solid both on and off the dock, there are some moments of pretty noticeable stuttering, particularly when charging the power bar. Furthermore, the motion controls are an absolute joke. Using the Joy-Cons feels kind of awkward, there's no indication of how much you need to wind up to get certain power levels or how to curve your shots, putting is a complete nightmare, and it's easily the least fun way to play the game. Did nobody play Wii Sports before designing this? None of that is to say that I've been hating my time with Mario Golf Super Rush. There's definitely an enjoyable golf game here that's more approachable and less serious than something like PGA Tour 2K21. I think it would have definitely been made much better by a camera and UI that reflected that of its predecessors, and maybe had a little bit more to offer. Even if you're a stickler for things like this, such as myself, if you can look past these flaws, I think you'll enjoy Mario Golf Super Rush. Mario Golf Super Rush gets 3.5 Ninja Stars out of 5, and a tentative, official Ninja Seal of Approval. Well, thanks for watching another Ninja Jordan Reviews. I know I've been gone for a while, so I really appreciate that you checked it out, and I swear I'm gonna do more in the future. If you like this video, let me know by hitting the like button, and maybe share it around with your friends. If you're new here and you want to see more reviews by an actual ninja, subscribe to my channel, and definitely hit the little bell icon to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Also, did you know I have Twitter and Instagram? Why not check me out there? But for another Ninja Jordan Reviews, this has been your Ninja Jordan. Goodbye.